Just about ready.
It's like every time somebody interviews us, is this thing live? Is this thing live? No, we're recording this. This is not live. Although this thing looks like it's live, which is okay.
Yeah, I've been streaming all these on YouTube.
Cool. Maybe I'll get some followers on my YouTube subscribers. They just look up my name and they'll find me.
There we go. I lost the so I'm gonna just to get started there. There's the link. All right. So what's been going on with you and as a person in the news business during the last few months?
It feels like it's been 1 week, one giant week. So when you say a few months, I'm not really sure if it's been that long. I'm sure it's been that long, but and the start of when all the COVID stuff kind of came down, about middle of March, I was still kind of working with some reporters, as a news team doing stories. And I think a first story I remember doing was and I'm in Kalamazoo at Western Michigan. That point they were moving all of classes to online, and it was just like a couple weeks, so they didn't really know. It was temporary. And then I think pretty much after that date, it was just nonstop COVID related stories. I think I've done one or two non-COVID related stories, but they all have some COVID ties in them. And since then, it's been a slow moving to everybody at our station working at home. I work at home maybe once or twice. I've worked at home, but it's just because, hey, can you edit the story? Can you put this together? Go shoot some video up in my neck of the woods, that sort of thing. So, but most of the time I am mobile. So I have a news car, I have my laptop, all my gear, and I can just shoot all the stuff and just edit from there and use just Wi-Fi or using Wi-Fi and sending it back that way. And I've been doing more writing and I've been doing more making phone calls, putting stuff online, writing stories online, and making sure that when I'm done for the day, I send out my end of shift notes, as we call it, and saying, okay, here's some sound that I didn't use, here's the website, and here's a quicker story or a second story, or this just an overall what my day was like, what I did, and if there's any follow-ups that need to be done. So it's been everybody you've heard, if people in the news business have heard of MMJ, multimedia journalist, or one-man band. I kind of made my own little Jason, because it's kind of funny. But I mean, I don't have the journalistic background that most of our reporters and most of the reporters out in the field in this business have. I went to school for video production. So, but I would say my experience or my learning about journalism has grown in the last 10, 12 years, and probably in the last 3 months for sure. We've had some training, like the photographers at our station. I think there's about 7 or 8 of us have actually had some training, all via Zoom. And just kind of learning how to adapt, just as we're on our own, and go get this story, go put it together, go write the web story, and just doing a lot of, what everybody does, and kind of multiple hats, and everybody's doing it. It's not me. Reporters are shooting their own stories as well, and producers are working from home. So that's kind of what it is in a nutshell, aside from what I do every day, which is obviously different every day.
So, and you mentioned that I think we're in the same. I went to school for the same thing, production. I'm considering what I've been doing the most in these 10 years right out of my college years is video editing. But I went to school and I consider myself in the production, the back behind the camera type guy. And you say and this all less seems just about a week for you. Is it, you mean that by like it's all condensed, feels like in a week, or
It just feels like it's a nonstop. A lot of people make jokes about what day is it and what week is it. And so, yeah, I mean, March, even though the stuff started happening early, but like early to middle of March, it felt like that month was longer than just the 4 weeks or so that a month is. It felt like forever. So, and say, okay, tomorrow's April 1st. I don't believe that. But just because there's just so much going on, everything was changing. And of course, my schedule was Monday through Friday, like a second shift. And I kind of volunteered to work the weekends just because our family just stays at home the whole time. So every weekend opportunity to do things, quarantine life has pretty much been canceled. So yeah, so now I'm saying, okay, I'll work the weekends until all of this kind of ends, or until I decide, hey, maybe I should take a break or two. And I like doing it. I love doing my job. And so, going into tomorrow, like, I can't wait to tell a story. I can't wait to, go, just, do our job, and, telling stories. And, a lot of people who are at home can't go out and see tulips. They can't go out and see, parades. So it's a lot more on us about trying to get so much of what's happening in the community. And, there isn't much. The parades aren't there, the festivals, the concerts, school, everything like that, graduations and stuff. So, a lot of that stuff we don't cover, but, we get emails about, hey, can you go over this, my great aunt, her 103rd birthday is tomorrow. So we go cover that. And so just a lot of stories that some people, that's the only way they can see it, is at home. I mean, yeah, stories that we cover, some people may know and understand it, but we can kind of be the eyes and ears of, hey, what's going on, in this COVID day and age, and about just telling people, hey, this is what happened today. You may not have been able to get out of your house, and, it's not like we're just out there all the time. We have restrictions, and we can't go to the station. We have to, wear masks too. And we don't have to, I should say, but it's strongly suggested. And now you can't really go into many stores. But point being is, just kind of being out there and, letting people kind of know, okay, you may have heard the news at the press conference, or may have, seen it on, Facebook or something, but they may not get to see the video, or they may not get to hear those interviews that we talk to. So more in depth than just kind of doing the community a service of, telling people's stories.
yeah, I kind of get the whole thing a week. I feel like the whole month of April just disappeared off the calendar. Actually,
Yeah,
it started. Go ahead.
somewhere in there was my birthday, and someone said, "Hey, happy birthday." I go, "My birthday's when it's my weekend." It was like a Monday, and it was actually probably the worst day that I've had since all this happened. But so it's like, okay, how about Thursday? It's my day off. We did some fun things, and that's another thing is that I've tried better at just kind of shutting everything off for a couple days. Very keyword is trying. I may get a text from a coworker saying, "Hey, here's your story on Saturday." Okay, so it is hard to, and I think I posted on the storytellers page about how people get away from during their weekend, and some people are just like, it's so hard, you may miss something. But the month of April, I mean, it was definitely longer than March, it felt like, because I don't know what day it is, because like I said, my weekends are different than Monday through Friday, which is my choice, but it does make it more unique and different. So anyway,
If you had to choose, if I had to choose one day, which I was saying to myself, say every day is Sunday. So that's kind of what it feels like. Everyone is in an apartment in a garage. You see all the cars at home every day, like it's a Sunday. Everyone's home.
yep.
So, like, just a little bit introduction. Who are you and what do you do?
I work for the news station in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yep, I'm gonna do it. Wait, yeah, well, okay. I don't know if it's backwards on that computer, but anyway, so we're right here for those people who are not in Michigan. And Kalamazoo, it's considered West Michigan, and I'm a news photographer. I like to call a photojournalist now, just because photographer, I tell some of my closer family members, I say, I'm a photographer, and they just think still photographer. So while I do take still photos with like an iPhone or, my nice camera, it's mainly, the video. So, but videographer doesn't flow well too. So photojournalist is a nice mixture. And I've been here in this market for about 5 years and been in the news business for coming on 13 years, I think. Feels like, I think I started in 2007 in the fall. So it's almost 13 years, so 12 and a half years, I think. But this is the longest I've been at one station, 5 years. And the other stations I've been at about 3 years. So I went from Illinois to Kentucky. Now here I am back in Michigan, which is where I grew up, up in northern Michigan. So closer to home and closer to more of my family who are in the Midwest area. And so been mostly working like a day shift, Monday through Friday. Lately, I've been working a night shift, and now obviously with this, I'm working weekends, but it's made it a lot easier for my schedule and being more at home with my family. So, yeah, that's about it.
So who are you? Who do you do it for? What do you do? Who do you do it for? Is the next question.
This station is a CBS station, News Channel 3. Call letters are WWMT. And so it's in Kalamazoo. The market, for those people who are news familiar about TV markets, is Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek. So, the market goes from way up north of Muskegon all the way down to probably near the Indiana border. Well, I've never been to Indiana for a story. It's about that's kind of like the edge of our area. And we go all the way over to Battle Creek and maybe east of there. So it's a large market. We cover like a lot of ground. And our station is in Kalamazoo, so we cover more like the southern parts. And we go to Grand Rapids every now and then. So.
And number 4, and I'm going. These questions are actually coming from like your purpose in 5 minutes, and it was a YouTube clip that I spotted 2 weeks back. So the next one, what is the overall expectations of either your who you work for or maybe your viewers? What's the overall expectations that you think they have?
I think they expect us to be, the local news station, and I say that in Kalamazoo. We have kind of the way our market works is we're in Kalamazoo, and there's a few stations up in Grand Rapids that cover more Grand Rapids. And so, when I'm out and about, hey, News Channel 3, we watch you all the time. And which you never hear someone that says, I don't watch you, right? I mean, it's a little rude. I've maybe heard that once or twice, and the person's just a little bit upset with a lot of things. But so our viewers expect us to they expect us to, get the information out, in a timely manner, but also correct information. Try not to, have anything, here's a story within 2 seconds and half of it's wrong, right? So, but they also, we've been pushing a lot lately, and we know that a lot of people are watching more online. They're getting their news on Facebook. I think even like Facebook and YouTube are like the top two news outside of watching, on your TV, antenna, cable, satellite. And, that gives the audience a lot more capability to watch. And so they expect us to, go to, the officials and even hold people accountable for certain things. I mean, we have an investigative team that, does a lot of digging of, information and through like sources and public records. That's the biggest thing that they get their information from. And obviously now that's it's harder to do now. A lot of offices are closed and places are closed, so it makes it more difficult to do that. But we still strive to do the deep digging of stories and ask the why, and the next question of okay, what's next, and what are you guys doing to correct this if something's wrong, and that sort of thing. So I think it's definitely helpful that we're the eyes and ears of our community, and when I should say eyes and ears, but also we're the voice. A lot of people don't get a voice when it comes to if it's their landlord is a scum or something, and then okay, this landlord is taking money from a bunch of people, and so someone comes up to us, they say something, and I'm just using this for example, obviously, but and then we dig into that and find, yeah, okay, he's been doing this for a long time, and we go up to either go up to that that person, or that or like a government official or law enforcement, and say, hey, what's going on here? And so doing a lot of that. I mean, I don't do that personally. I'm more of I enjoy kind of having I don't want to call it a lighthearted story, but the joyful stories. And in this time, especially when there's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of doubt in people, okay, when's this going to open? When can I go back to work and school and all this stuff? And, I cover a story where it's, here's someone who's inspiring their neighborhood by handing out food, or here's someone who's helping by, celebrating someone's birthday, or, things like that. So a lot of the, how the community is stepping up to react and to help out. And it's not just one person. It may be a company who's making masks. It may be, a large hospital that's, matching money that someone's donating, that sort of thing. So.
And last question for getting to everything else. What is the expected change by that viewer, or by the person? Like, what's the expected change of behavior by the viewer? Like what do you see them doing, or are you motivating them to do a certain thing after they watch your the network's programming?
You mean like watching our news
Or a call to
and
action, or inspiring action of something of the viewer?
um it's a good question because when I put a story together, it runs on the news for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. And then, the story says, hey, check out our website for more. And, we try to get them to go to our website because that lives there forever. The newscast, while that video, if we do a story on a birthday party or whatever, that video will go online, but we can have a version online that can be as long, like the video can be as long as it can. Our newscasts are only a certain amount of time, so we can post that story, do a more in-depth piece, and add more quotes from the person that we're talking to. We get a lot of people who say, I saw my story, I know you did like a 15-minute interview, but I saw about 10 seconds. It's like, yeah, that is a good question. And people don't understand, like, okay, we're trying to tell a whole story, but we have only so much time. So the website gives us more time. It gives us, hey, we can just put the entire interview online. We can use every quote that they said and post that online. And then the online version has resources. If we do a story on, the homeless shelter and helping a certain, group of people, and we say, okay, if you want to help, you go to this website. So we try to share those sources, websites. We're not like advertising for them, but obviously, if it's an organization or something, we're definitely, hey, if you see our news story and you want to help out, you want to do something, here's these resources. And we'll get calls saying, hey, I saw that story, how can I help? And we'll probably say, oh, here's the website, or here's their address, but we're not going to say, oh, just go check out our website. We wouldn't do that. Now, I'm not the person who answers the phones, but and I do give credit to all of our the people at our station that do a great job of managing our jobs, scheduling and saying, hey, you're going to go do this story or that story. But small plug. So yeah, so just having a website that people can go to, and WWMT.com, and they can just see all the resources that we have. And we actually have like a coronavirus page. So if someone says, hey, I want to find out information on this, and there's always search engines and stuff like that too. Online search engines do a good job. If you just type in WWMT or whatever your story is, it'll probably come up, in the area. So, but yeah, so that page, it's dedicated to like coronavirus related stories, which mostly are like the numbers and, stuff from the hospitals and stuff. And we have a local page where pretty much every story that I do is local, which kind of leads to the last question about our viewers. They don't want to watch our newscast, and a couple minutes in, we're doing a story about some story out in San Antonio or something, which if it's a big story, yes, that will probably be a lead story, but we try to do as much local angle stories as we can. For instance, if there's a shortage in food of some sort, we'll go to the farm down the road, or we'll go to the grocery store up the road and say, hey, what's your thoughts of this or something. So we don't just say, yep, there's a food shortage, back to you. We try to go to the local people, and how it's affecting this area, especially if it's, here's a story we air and only 5 people care about it. That's not what we're trying to do. And we try to have a story where everybody, it's valuable for everybody watching our news. Hope that answered that question.
Yeah, I was doing a great job so far. That when you say you have a newscast, most newscasts local in the afternoon, they go, what I've seen in my area, 30 minutes. Mornings may be an hour, 2 hours for the mornings, but 30 minutes, all you have, and a package in a given show is like 2 minutes. But would you say more than ever now, like would Facebook, social media, and not just to point out one website, actually, social media in general, each have their own ways it's marketing, and you share glimpses. Would you say a newscast is more of a glimpse of a story? I think kind of said it in a way, but and then you take them to that website. This is the way it's going with web in the last over the last 20 years, and over the given time, as you said, point use the web not webcast, the newscast, use the newscast, use social media marketing to point to your website, is because that's where you inevitably want people to end up and stick around. And you can then develop a story. You can add as you get more information, details get released. That's an ever going updated story that people, and you can just share it every time there's an update. Would you say that's the newscast is more of a marketing tool than anything for your website?
I think they both work hand in hand. I think, you're going to get everybody, not everybody, you're going to get most people, hey, it's 5 o'clock, let's watch the news. It's 11 o'clock, 5:30, whatever time they watch the news. And you'll get, here's kind of a rundown of what today happened. And let's say there was a big story that happened at 2 o'clock. Okay, we have a reporter that's on the scene, and by 2:30 or by 2 o'clock, whatever time it is, and they're sending out information to our desk, to the people at our station, maybe posting stuff on social media, Twitter, Facebook. And back at the station, there's a web person, or web media managers, if you want to call them that. They're already kind of gathering that information, and they post a story and it's up by, let's say, 2:30. Well, someone will see that, and they're at home or on their phone. This not COVID time. This is any time, you may get a push alert at 2:30, and someone sees that, says, okay, let's say a bank got robbed, right? Oh, did you hear about and then people are chatting about it. Well, you get to 5 o'clock at home. Yeah. The bank got robbed, where it happened and how it happened. So by the time 5 o'clock rolls around, and you can have like a newscast where the reporter says, yeah, this happened. Well, that person will say, well, I knew that. Right. So that's where, okay, now we still will say that, because someone may not see that at 2:30, 3 o'clock, but then we'll say, at 2:30, 3 o'clock on that web story, okay, at 5 o'clock, we'll have an interview with the chief of police, or we'll have an interview with a witness or something. And while we can't really put all of that at 3 o'clock or at 3:30, if we keep posting everything on the website, then someone's going to say, I already know that information, I'm not going to watch the news. So, we'll kind of use the web version to get people to, or push alerts or any sort of social media, to get that information out there for those, who need it then. So they get the information in a fast, timely manner. And still going, okay, and in the newscast, we're going to have a little bit more information that we can't put in this web article there. You'll hear, let's say we get an interview with somebody who's like very sad or crying or emotional, right? Well, you can't really put that emotion in a text or, online or in a social media post. So like, oh yeah, this lady was very sad. Okay, well, why was she sad, or he, or whatever? So it just goes to each platform does its job in a different way. You know, the newscast has that, you know, we have okay, here's the reporter, that's what they're covering. And then, you know, it's kind of like, this is the video that we had, this is where we were. And a little bit more in-depth stories are, I would say, not in-depth, but just the way we put together stories in a newscast is a lot different than the way we put together stories online. Like I said, we can just put a big, huge web article online and people can read that. There can be pictures, there could be various elements, like we can embed those social media posts online, and even some like longer interviews, like I said. So I think while TV does have, you know, you have your commercials and that's how mainly our station makes money. That's really a lot of, you know, we're not in it to make commercials and make money, right? You know, we're in it for telling people stories, you know, being the local news station. And like I said earlier, kind of being that voice for those people out there who you can't watch it. And, you know, we do a story at 5, you know, we air the video. Do I expect everybody to watch that story to not know what's going on? No, but I understand that some people like, hey, I watched the news, you know, 11 o'clock. I didn't know that happened today. That's cool. You know, especially if it's like a story that I might do on a day where, you know, it's at like 6, 7, 8 o'clock. I may not have any information out just because it's not a timely story. And that's where that, you know, the social media stuff happens. If it's timely and we want to tell somebody, okay, this road is closed, or don't go swimming in this lake, or, you know, this business is closed, then yes, that's like all timely. But if it's, hey, we went to this celebration, or we went to this thing that happened earlier today, we can tease up to it and say, hey, watch our news. But it's not necessarily something that I'm going to divulge the whole story, because I know that then no one is going to watch, you know, the story later, and they can see that, see the version in our newscast that, you know, kind of had, and that's why I like to call myself a photojournalist, because, you know, I'll put a story together that's just all emotion. Someone's talking, you know, you get video and stuff, which we call a nap pack or photo pack. And that's just all you see. For those people out there who don't know about the news business, it's putting stories and video and sound all kind of together, telling a story without hearing someone's voice. So basically letting the people who are part of the story tell the story. For instance, on the weekend, I went to a farm that usually makes donuts in the fall. They actually made donuts in the springtime because of all this stuff going on. And so I just had the guy tell me what's going on. And I had some people buying donuts say, why did you buy these donuts right now? And so put all that together without having to, you know, obviously I'm a photographer, so I've never been, you know, seen on TV and like, you know, holding the mic and back to you doing a live shot, but putting kind of a big piece together without having to have like put my voice in it, and having those people tell their story instead of just getting in the way is what sometimes we say it. And when I say getting in the way, you know, if someone like me or a reporter is talking, you know, and someone's like, let me hear more about what those people are saying, or I want to hear from those people. So the reporter can kind of connect the dots, and that's a lot of what their job is, to, you know, here's this person, they said that, here's this person, they said that. So I think I went off topic there, but
let's shift here a little bit, and the one or a few things. What are you excited about today?
what am I excited about today? Well, I'm excited that I have the day off, but that's not the question you're asking. I think I'm just excited that that I know that my job is never going to be the same every day. As we say it, never dull. There's always, it's like, it's kind of like, I want to hear what's on the news myself, right? I want to see what's happening today. I want to watch the 5 o'clock news and what's going to happen. You know, I'm now, while I may know what my story is on Saturday, like this is where I'm going, that still, I found that out, what, a couple days ago or maybe today. And hey, that's really exciting. So just knowing kind of the unknown of, okay, what am I going to do today? It's exciting. Could be, could be something cool, or oh, battery's running low. Hold on. So just kind of the, it's not monotonous for sure. And it's just, you never know where you're going to go, what you're going to cover, what story you're going to do. So I think that's probably the most exciting part. All right, make sure I plug my laptop in.
Would you say, in time, as it's excited and you being a photographer, I had an interview earlier today with he's on the reporter side, and he mentioned that he loves the idea of not, one of his tactics, and I'll get into your tactics here too, but was to plan less. And he stated that photographer that maybe do you like to plan a lot of your shots? Do you take you like, or do you take a lot of shots? There's one things he mentioned is it's a lot of times it's good to like take one shot and then move and go get another shot from another perspective. Do you like to plan, or do you like to take a lot of your shots as you go?
I think I would be more of, once I get to wherever I'm at, just kind of look around, see what's there. And I think I posted a cool like tutorial kind of thing online about perspective, and that's just a artistic, photographic artistic style, and kind of showing the viewer or showing the person who's watching our story something that something that they can't see. So, and that goes back to, being the eyes and the ears of, the community, and, going around, okay, how can I show this in a way where someone will watch it and go, wow, I never thought of it that way. So that perspective angle of it. But yeah, when I get somewhere, I'm just kind of looking around. I mean, I know kind of, I'm going to make sure to get some shots of this area to show, hey, this is this building or this house or this park. And then I'll get closer and I'll walk closer and, show, okay, here's this bird or something really close that someone may not be able to see. And, we're always moving around with, and the saying goes, have your legs be your zoom, right? You zoom in with a lens, but move closer and that sort of thing. So, but I know kind of, if I have a story idea and I know that I'm going to cover the story on my way to that scene or to that area, I'm going to know, okay, I'm going to make sure to get a shot of this. Or if I ask somebody a question, I'm going to ask them this way. I mean, I always have that, creative look to things when I get somewhere, like, how can I shoot this, or how can I show this image in a different way that makes someone look at it and go, huh, I never thought of it that way. And just, that's why I like my job too, is because, it's an art form. Journalism is, obviously the communications and the things, but but it's still, using my camera as a, paintbrush, if you want to call it that. And the TV is like the canvas. So it's fun to do because, you can always get some shot of something that someone can see from the road. Oh yeah, I already saw that. I saw that. So, going to interview somebody in a different way, you know, take me to that place, and kind of what our role when we're doing a story is take me there, right? So we take the viewer to that spot. So just, yeah, I think that about answers it.
And it's harder to like take the viewer there in these days. Like, have you been? Has it been like forced upon you in a way to like make changes in the way you shoot things as far as safety protocols?
I would say about the only change, one of the main changes has been, conducting interviews where you can't go to the person's house, go to the person's business using, various video, Zoom or FaceTime, that sort of thing. So, okay, here's a shot of somebody from their home on their iPhone. So, but we still get to talk to them. We still get to, ask them how it is. And, we do try to get creative. And I've definitely trying to get creative with, okay, here's this person's face on TV or on the camera, and while if you're in person talking to somebody, you can get different perspectives and, show that, okay, here's this person mowing their lawn, right? You can't do that via FaceTime. So sometimes what we've done, I know that I haven't done it as much, but people in our business, they'll, hey, get some video of you doing that sort of thing. But so sometimes I take the phone and if I interview a teacher or I interview someone who's talking about art, well, I'll put the camera there and then I'll put some like paintings or crayons or art kind of things in the background just to liven it up. So you're just not watching that, here's this person's face and they're talking. Well, people need to know who that is, and you take them there. Here's John, he does this. Sometimes people, I know that now more people understand that we can't talk to somebody in person 3 feet away, put a mic on them. We have to talk to them 6 feet away. And so now we can use, the technology, and but it's a lot harder because, you're talking to someone over the phone, over FaceTime or Skype or whatever, and you can't really get that. You don't get that, emotional connection as much, I think, than if you're just talking, especially even if you talk to somebody over the phone. I know that was kind of always, when I first started in the business, if you couldn't get someone to talk to, you had to call them over the phone, which we call a phoner. And well, how does somebody know what they look like? So now this is usually if we can't get, hey, can you talk to us? Well, I'm over in Detroit or I'm in, LA or somewhere far away. Then yeah, like the FaceTime has always been that last resort, but now this is the first resort usually. With people, especially if, people are locked up in their house or quarantined or, they can't travel anywhere. We're not going to put anyone in danger. So.
I think you mentioned sound like maybe a good idea, maybe not. I don't know what, but with all the rise in people having a phone in their hand, that's also a camera, and among other stuff. You mentioned someone about you talking about a guy mowing his lawn. Did you ask him like shoot footage, or would you ask him to shoot footage of that specific topic so you have B-roll of that and he just sends it to you, or have
Yeah,
you?
I haven't done it as much because, I may be talking to an official at a hospital or an official at, you know, a company or something. But and I do, and that's kind of where I don't do it as much, because while I do tell stories and I put stories together, what kind of differs me a little bit from our reporters, and since we're all working separate, I'm not working with a reporter as much anymore, or at all. And you know, I'll just put a little short, here's what happened today, and then a sound bite with somebody, and a little bit of, you know, here's what's happened next. So it's what we call in the business our VOSOTs, where you just see a little video, you hear some sound, and then back to the anchor talking. The reporter kind of adds a little bit extra, and they may have a little bit longer version of a story, so they may need more video, that sort of thing. So while I haven't done it, I know some people have. Our bosses have said, hey, if all you have is a Skype interview with somebody, see if they can get you some video of them doing what they're doing at home, if it pertains to that. But yeah, I've done that. You know, I interviewed I don't know when, right? But several weeks ago, the other day, I interviewed somebody. It was a artist, a music artist, musician. He has a band. Of course, their band can't play. And I said, hey, just play me a song. So I got him video of, you know, him playing a song. So that was just something extra instead of just here's someone talking. And, you know, just having people, okay, if you're at home and this is all you're doing, like, can you, you know, kind of provide us with some pictures? I do more of that. Say, hey, give me some pictures so I can, you know, post them online too. But, you know, most of the time it's, you know, if someone I'm talking to via whatever format, I said, hey, show me around what you're doing. Show me your house. And, you know, just to give someone a perspective of, the viewer knows that we're all interviewing people over these Zoom calls. So use that to the advantage of, yeah, we talked to so-and-so over Zoom today, and, you know, their kids were running around behind them, right? So it's kind of that sign of the times. And my wife just gave me a funny look. But yeah, just the sign of the times. And it's, you know, just made me kind of think about doing this interview about, like, you know, my kids asked me, like, are you working today? I go, no, I'm not working. And I'm doing this because, like, hey, here's like this, we're kind of in history, right? So I know I'm digressing, but just it's kind of cool to, I mean, it's sad, right? All this is, and that's why us as journalists are the storytellers, and we're trying to, you know, it's like we're kind of telling history in a way, you know, being there. I mean, it's not history now, but it's, you know, down the road, you know, everybody's going to look at this time and go, you know, remember the history of when this, and this happened. So while my kids may know the word coronavirus and daddy works in weird hours, that's probably about it. But so just
documenting the times.
Yeah. And I think actually on Sunday, I'm doing a story where, like, yeah, there's a local organization documenting things like this. I don't know if it's pictures or video or whatever, and I think we've done a story on a local person here who's kind of been documenting this as well. So, I mean, there's actually a colleague who's in the business. He works down in Dallas. He calls himself a documentarian. So I think that's pretty cool to, well, I'm not going to use that word because I think he may have created it, but it's, you know, we're documenting what's happening right now. And, you know, while a lot of it's may not, you know, be super historical, this time for sure is. So.
Well, as we begin to wrap up here, I want to get to some tactics you may have that you're adjusting to, but I want to, you mentioned a few links, and I want to collect them all from you, and I can put them in the notes and share them out, like where a few of the stuff you mentioned, what thing you're doing, working on next week. This will have an official release in around a month or so after a few others scheduled, but I want to get all your links together, share them out. Maybe a social media where you like to hang out on social media for anyone to say hey to you.
Cool. Yeah.
But what are maybe you just have one or there maybe at most three tactics you can give someone who can help move through these times, tough times, scary times, but staying happy and staying healthy. Three tactics you have.
Mhm. I would say, number one probably is just, family. And, for me, it's also my faith as well in God, but using that, just having my family be a part of my life. And I think a couple days ago, my kid, he's my 9-year-old, he's doing stuff with church, had to interview me and ask me a couple questions. And, and it was really quick, but he's like, I want to interview you, Dad, which is really funny because he actually held my stick like that with using the work, or not as much use. But anyway, and just having it, the really what I was getting at with the interview was, I said I help out at home at my family and, do stuff at home. So I try to keep same with that. I mean, some people may not have that, but just your family, your friends, and, talking with them. I think I've talked to more people during this time, or people that I haven't talked to, just via text. So, texting people that a lot of people are working from home. So it's like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm home. Okay, great. And so it's more possibly that way now too. And social media, connecting with people over that. And I always try to share my stories to kind of encourage people out there. And, a lot of my family and friends and distant relatives live in this area, so a lot of them see that my stories and that sort of thing. So that kind of what keeps me going there is knowing like, hey, even if I post a story, I have a story on the newscast, and people watch it and they're not affected by it. I know like a lot of my family kind of, oh, this is what Jason's doing today, that's cool. And another thing is, I like to, I'm a photographer, I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. So my Twitter account, I've been doing since actually the beginning of the year. I have a little hashtag that I made, or a couple, but it's hashtag Heeres 2020. And that's my name there, Heeres. But also news behind the scenes, which I'm sure there's probably more people who use that. And every day I've been working, I try to post just a picture of how did I get that shot, or this is what my news card looks like now that I'm working out of it. And just showing the behind the scenes, because a lot of people, I know that's what I love to see. When I watch movies, I want to know how that was made. That's, one of my number one things to watch on like YouTube, or movie behind the scenes, or TV show behind the scenes of, just what it's like from a different angle. I mean, we're behind the scenes, at certain events, right? So we get to kind of show more things of what people see, but then I'm showing the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes. So it's really cool to see that. And I'm sure you probably, like, if you watch a behind the scenes video, then you actually, sometimes you see the people filming the behind the scenes, but then that can go up anyway. So I think those are two of them, just family, friends, and just, a coworker one day was saying, they gave me a couple stories and, they all fell through and I wasn't able to get a hold of people, so what are you kind of doing? I said, well, I use one of my cameras. I have a GoPro camera, which most people know what that is. And I just set it down and I get a time lapse. And that's kind of, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll probably see a lot of it there, and maybe my Facebook page as well. But I think like the first true week that all of this was starting to unravel, and the COVID stuff and stay at home orders, I just posted a link on my Facebook pages, both of them, professional and my personal, and said, hey, if there's one word that you can say that will help you through this, which is funny how you asked that question. And, I got like, people saying friends, and some people said some funny stuff and some serious stuff. And I just put that all in a story, and that was just all created in my head. And, I said, hey, I'll just put some video behind it, show these words, use some music. And so I just, if I'm in some downtime, I try to put some stuff together that's may not be newsworthy, but it's encouraging. A lot of people like to go to our website and just, here's a bonus video, here's a behind the scenes look of this, or, they always, they like to, when we do like Facebook Lives and stuff, and I've done a couple cents where I'm showing here's like my work truck, and this is where I'm at, or I'm working from home, or I'm working here, and this is what it's like. So just kind of just using my artistic style of hoping that, when somebody watches the story, they're encouraged, or they're, they get something out of it. And that's another thing, back to one of your past questions is, if we do a story on, it could be a sad story about like a drowning or something, and this is what someone who I think works at a local newspaper told me. And it kind of hit home, because he said, if you do that story and you got all these people upset at you about it, and or either they're upset, or they said, yeah, I know that I shouldn't leave my door closed, or I know I should lock my car. Well, someone watches it and they go, oh man, I really should have did that today, or done that. And, if it helps one person, awesome. We have a large audience, but, we don't expect everybody to know, if we tell a story about and this is more informative stories, but, we hope that at least, if one person, kind of changes the way they do things, and this can even go to the investigative side of things, but the way that, you go about your day, if that changes one person, then, kind of done our job. While we hope more people do it, great. But
so you mentioned there and all that, like you have a Twitter, and I definitely want to get your Twitter page, and if you have YouTube or anything where you said you put up your time lapse, you do a lot of time lapse. Uh, what is your Twitter handle?
my Twitter is JAHEERES. So it's just like
And
my first two letters there.
I'll link that up as well. People, so I can go follow. We can go follow you, see what you're up to. And one final wrap up question. Is Twitter the best way, or do you? I know what I wanted to say before I got into this. For the wrap up, it just came back to me. I know that there's a lot of value in the behind the scenes, and we try to do a lot of that. But you can maybe when you're on a shoot and you have the camera set up and it's rolling and it's ready for the live shot, you can whip out your phone and maybe pull out an Instagram live and do a live behind the scenes as you're doing a live shot kind of thing. I've seen that time and time again. Have you done anything like that? Like with Instagram Live?
I don't know if I've done much Instagram Live. I think because I'm gonna kind of go old school, but like when Instagram first came out, I thought it was like you use a picture and you jazz it up and stuff. So, more and more of these every social media app has some sort of live version, I think, or most of them. So maybe more like a Facebook Live. But I use more Instagram for, just like, here's a cool picture that I took. And so I don't use it as much for like a newsworthy kind of style. And of course you mentioned live shots, which I haven't done much lately, but point being, I've done a couple where like, hey, here we are, doing Facebook Live. But, if I'm doing a regular news day where I'm working with a reporter, usually the hour or so leading up to our news story, I'm still editing my story. So I don't have as much time to put that all together. So, but if it's like a day where, most of our stuff is shot early and we got everything done a little earlier and this, location is interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'll do that. I think I may have done like 1 or 2 Instagram lives, but not as much as maybe Facebook Live too. But what's cool about our Facebook Live, my professional page, I'll do log in there, do a Facebook Live, our station will share it, and then I'm doing the live shot or at a scene or whatever, and then all of a sudden just the numbers will jump up and people will start commenting, and now I'm like kind of conducting answering people's questions, and or if I'm at this scene, some said, hey, what's going on there, where are you at? So I'm kind of like that, like live on the spot informational kind of thing. So but I guess I could investigate more, do Instagram lives. I just don't know how much that audience is of who uses it, who doesn't, that sort of thing. So
One, thank you for taking the just time out of your off day to talk about what's going on now. What's going on now? What challenges are being faced? One, before I get to the final question, what's a new thing you've learned? And it could be professional, could be life related. What's one thing new you've learned?
I think I've learned more, just a specific thing about writing news stories. We operate in AP style, which is Associated Press, but it's just how our station writes stories in the I think it's like, is it called present tense, I think, or past tense, past present tense. Sorry if I'm not specific there, but someone who reads this later on in life, 3 years down the road, we're not going to say, hey, this person is going to the mall. Well, yeah, that happened 3 years ago. So it's that this happened then. So I've been learning that, and just all the way that how our website works and how to post our stories. And I'm always, when I get my story, my online version done, and I send it off to the the person at the station who kind of proofs everything, make sure everything sounds right. He calls back with some questions, and I'm always learning from those questions. I mean, while I sometimes get annoyed that, oh man, I did that wrong, or I didn't know what I was doing, every day I'm learning something new. I'm not going to go into my day and say, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm always learning a new practice, learning something new. So, but the writing of stories definitely, before this COVID stuff happened, I think I may have written 2 web stories, and probably now I do a lot of Nat packs before this, and where I talked about earlier, putting all the sound and video together. But this is also like writing part of it and connecting the dots. And I think actually I did do one story where I used my voice in the story, and I was nervous at first, and my news director said go for it, so I was all excited about that. So I'll have that linked. That's in my YouTube page. And just overall kind of adapting to how we're doing all this news stuff. And I'm in my news car every day. Pretty much I get in the news car, I drive to the story, I go home, and I'm in my car a lot, and just trying to learn how to persevere all of this. There's days when you just kind of feel burnt out, and then the next day you do an encouraging story, and or you just talk to somebody and you feel encouraged. So I think it's it's awesome to know that like our industry can adapt to all of this, like you said, with the technology, and that, you know, we can still kind of be in the news business, even though a lot of us can't go to the station, and that, you know, while we have a station to go to, we're out in the community anyway. You know, there are days when, you know, I get to the station, they say go up to Grand Rapids, go over to Battle Creek to do the story, and we're not going back. We don't go back. So that's not the new part. The new learning part is just doing everything that a reporter might do that I'm doing, or an assignment editor that now I'm doing, or making phone calls. I've definitely gathered a lot of phone contacts too. So that's always nice. You know, someone, hey, does everybody have the police chief here? So, you know, certain, you know, contacts that I can get a hold of if someone has a question. So kind of feel like I'm a little bit of a reporter, but, you know, I think my wife said, the next thing you have to do is put your face on TV. I said, well, I don't know about that, but so I will, 10 times out of 10, I'll say have the reporter that does this for a living and that's their day job. And I'll just go back to, you know, shooting the video and monitoring the audio, because that's another thing that's pretty much challenging, is trying to do all of that. And, you know, making sure you interview somebody and you're looking at the camera, checking for the levels and stuff. So
You never know. I started out going to school for production. I got into Toastmasters six, 7 years, almost 7 years ago, and I never would have thought I would have, if you would have, like, if someone comes to me one day and I have something to give in a speech and they say come speak here, I would not turn that down today. But I couldn't say that 10 years ago. I was shy, quiet. I came into this business intentionally to be behind the camera, but I wouldn't even turn down going in front of the camera. I mean, I wouldn't look for it, but I wouldn't turn it away. And the final question, and I can let you go. Enjoy the rest. Why do you think the film news telling stories is important today?
I think it's important today and always, just because it's just the sign of the times, and we're doing our journalistic duty of telling what's happening now, telling about the story, diving deeper into the story, and not just say, here's what happened, back to you. It's showing the emotion of a story. You know, you can have, you know, a version on TV that's long and this will happen, this will happen. That's, you know, someone might just get bored after 20 seconds, or you could just start, here's this person talking. This is why it's important. You know, they're talking, you know, and they're getting emotional, and, you know, kind of hope that people who watch this kind of feel something to do, you know, a wide range of things, help, or, you know, make them kind of think about, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way. So like I was saying earlier about, you know, if one person's affected by the story, then we did our job. And that, you know, we can be the storytellers of people who don't have a voice, you know, and we'd like to go out to all the communities and tell everybody's stories. And it's that, you know, may seem kind of impossible to do, but that's why I like where my station is. You know, we're in Kalamazoo. We don't go up to Grand Rapids as much, you know, but everybody in Kalamazoo appreciates our stories, our news, you know, and you do have some negativity, but we try to take that with a grain of salt and say, okay, there's always, we hope that there's not always going to be somebody negative, but we know that that's happened before, and trying to filter that out and know not everybody's going to be happy about a story that you do, but if one person is, then awesome.
All right. Thank you, Jason, for taking the
welcome.
time, and this was a great just sitting chatting with people in the news. And I mainly talk film, but I like to like switch it up, and I'm getting into like coffee and quarantine conversations, trying to find that with just anyone telling their story too. Just people just living day to day right now. And this was great. And again, look for. I think I have someone else waiting for, because I have one more interview today.
Okay, great.
That
This was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Great talk.